Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Next Review. So for this episode, we're going to go over setting up Terraform credentials for AWS. More specifically, we're looking at setting up instance profile for AWS. So this is used so you can use your AWS instance, or you can use use that virtual machine as an environment to develop your Terraform code and be able to deploy it to your AWS account. Okay, so that the credentials gives the Terraform that access to your AWS account. So there are other types which you can use from which you can develop your code locally, and then set up the access to AWS and still deploy your infrastructure as code to your AWS account. So for this particular instance, we're using the whole virtual machine as an environment. We're setting up a virtual machine, or in this case, an AWS instance as an environment from which we're going to deploy our infrastructure as code. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create an AWS instance, and that will be the environment we're going to use to test our configuration. So we're going to set up create an AWS instance, and then we're going to create an IAM role, an IAM service role for EC2. And then we're going to attach the role to the EC2 that we're going to create. And then once we have that set up, we're going to log into our AWS instance, EC2 instance. And we're going to log into the EC2 instance. We're going to install Git, which is a version control tool we're going to use to clone a sample code base, infrastructure as code base. And we're also going to install Terraform, which is our infrastructure as code tool. And then we're going to test our configuration. So we're going to try to deploy a VPC, or virtual private cloud, from that EC2 into our AWS account. Okay, so that's the plan. And so let's begin. So first, I'm logged into my AWS account. I'm currently, you're looking at the VPC service. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin by creating an EC2 instance. So I'm gonna click on, I already have it saved here, or you can just search EC2 here if you wish as well. And you click on EC2. And then you're gonna go ahead and relaunch instance. And here we're just gonna give a name for this. I'm gonna call this Terraform. I'm gonna call this Terraform VM, Terraform virtual machine. I'm gonna use Amazon Linux for the operating system. So free tier eligible Amazon Linux AMI. So instance type, I'm just going to leave it at T2 micro free tier, which is free tier eligible. I'm going to create a key pair. So I'm going to click here, create new key pair. So the key pair will be used to log in into our EC2 instance. I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to call this Terraform -key. Okay, so this already exists. Let me call it Terraform -key 2. Okay. I'm gonna leave everything as default. Type RSA and formats.pem. Then I'm gonna click on create key pair. So that's now downloaded to my local download folder. Network settings, so click on edit. So I'm going to use the default VPC for EC2 instance. It's going to be housed within this default VPC. Subnets, I'm just going to keep it to no preference. You can change the subnets here to choose one of the ones that are available. I'm just going to leave it to no preference. I'm going to enable public IP. Create security group. I'm going to create a security group. I'm going to call this Terraform. Terraform SG, security group. Description. So for this widget, I'm going to say allow SSH. We need okay, so we need SSH login. And what else do we need? We're also going to install Gates, and we're going to install Terraform. So let's also allow HTTP, allow SSH, and okay. Let me say three things. Allow SSH, HTTP, HTTPS. Okay, HTTP, and then HTTPS, we just have secure HTTP. So we have SSH is already selected here, port 22. Source, we're gonna say from our IP address. Okay, so we're gonna log in from our IP address. So let's add another security group. We're also gonna add HTTP. HTTP somewhere, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, HTTPS. Okay, let's start with HTTPS since it's there. HTTPS 4443. And then source tab, I'm gonna say from anywhere from the open web. I'm gonna add one more. I'm gonna add HTTP. And let's see, where is it? HTTP 480. And this is also going to be from anywhere. So from the open web. Okay, so we have our security group roles. So we have SSH from our IP address, HTTPS, and HTTP from the internet. Okay, so storage, we're just going to leave it at 8 gigabytes. That should be just enough for what we're trying to do. Then we're going to go ahead and launch. So let me move this over. Launch instance. So let's see, creating security group failed. Okay, so it's a security group. Terraform SC already exists for VPC. Okay, so we already have a security group called security group SG. So let's edit and change the name of the security group to something else. So let's go back to our security group. We have a key security group. So we're gonna call it Terraform security group 2. So okay, and everything else remains the same. And I'm gonna go ahead and okay, and then try to launch again. So now it's success. Okay, so we can click on the ID. And now it's currently loading. So while that's happening, so it's currently pending. So in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and create a IAM role. So let's go back to this other window. So you wanna click on IAM since I already have it saved, or you can search IAM here. Click on IAM. So I'm gonna click on roles on the left here. So I'm gonna click on the top right, it says create role. I'm gonna click on that. So we're going to create a service role. So this is already pre-selected. We have AWS service. So we're gonna create that. Use case. We're gonna select EC2. Okay, and then we're going to proceed. Move this up. And I say next. We're just going to give it administrator access for this example that we're doing. You can define, you can customize it how you wish. Right? So for this example, we're just going to go with the administrator access. Okay, so we have that selected. I'm going to go down, click on next. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Terraform Row. Let me just call 2. Maybe this is a Terraform Row 1. I'm not sure. Terraform Row 2. Description allows EC2 instance to call AWS services on your behalf. Okay. So we have that name. Okay. So it's gonna, so that's the policy. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on create role. A role with this name already exists. Okay. So all this role is, let's write Terraform role. All right, let's write 3. Maybe I already have one. So Terraform role 3. So let's just remember it's called Terraform role 3. Okay. So now we have that. So now let's go back to our EC2 instance. Let's reload and see if it's ready. Okay, so it says running, so that's good. So now we're gonna go and we're going to attach our role to our EC2 instance. So we're gonna go to action, go to security. Let's see. Modify IAM role is not selected. Let's see. Okay, actually, I forgot to select it. So if make sure you select the instance first. Okay. And then you go to actions, security. Then you click on modify IAM role. And then here, choose the IAM role. So we're gonna choose the one we created. It was called, we called it, remember, it was called Terraform role. I believe it was called Terraform role number 3. Let's see, let's just type it. Terraform row 3. So we really have a row and a row 2. Okay, so Terraform row 3 is the one we just created. So I'm gonna click on that and update IAM role. So it says now on green here, it says successfully attached Terraform row 3 to instance ID. And this is the ID, EC2 instance we created previously. So we have that. Okay, yeah, so that's the one we created. So that's that. Okay, so we have the row attached to the EC2 instance. So now let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead now and log into our EC2 instance. And then we're going to install Git, we're gonna install Terraform. And then we're going to test this setup, this configuration, and see if we're gonna be able to launch a service. In our case, we're gonna try to launch a VPC. So now I'm gonna go ahead, open my Visual Studio. I'm gonna use the Remote Explorer to connect to my EC2. So I'm gonna click on Remote Explorer. And I'm gonna click on this gear box to set up my configuration file for this EC2 we just created. And I'm gonna click on config. So I gotta make sure I'm gonna have to change the host DNS and also change the path for the key. So I'm gonna go back to my AWS console and copy the DNS of our EC2, and then I'm gonna come back here and paste it here. So let's go do that. So let's go back to our EC2 instance. I'll go back to my AWS console. So I'm gonna click on this ID. So we're trying to copy the DNS. Okay, so it's right. Public IP DNS. Okay, so it's right there. I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna go ahead to here, and I'm going to paste it over here. Control V, and also paste it where it says host name. Control V. And for the key, so again, this key was also downloaded, so it's currently in the download folder. So I don't have to change the full path. The only thing I have to change is the name of the key. So the path is still the same. So this first part is still the same. C users, ENZB downloads, blah, blah, blah. So the only thing we have to change is the actual name of the key itself. So let's go back to the console and copy the name of our key. Let's go back. Okay, so I'm gonna click on connect. So the name of the key is Terraform key 2 dash key 2 bam. So I'm just gonna copy that and go back and paste it here. Okay, so now we have that. And the user is still the same EC2 user. Let's just make sure that's the case. Check that as well. So user is EC2 user. Okay. Well, that's so fun. We can copy that or paste it too, but yeah, that's the same. So EC2 user. So we can paste it here. In this case, the same thing, so it's not going to change anything. But if it was different, that's where it will be. So we have this set up. So that's save. Control S or file save. And now let's go ahead and connect. I'm gonna click on connecting current window, click on that. So now we're gonna try to connect to our EC2 instance. Okay, yeah, so we're looking at with different things. So we created an EC2. So okay, so it says non-established connection. So this tends to fail the first time for some reason. So I just close remote and try it again. So I'm gonna go back and click on Remote Explorer, click on my configuration. So again, so everything is still there. Terraform key was the key that we set up. So I'm just gonna go back and try to connect a second time. Okay, so Linux is the operating system we're using for our instance. Remember, we chose Amazon Linux. So I'm gonna click on that. Are you sure? I'm just gonna say continue. Okay, so now it looks like we are connected. So I'm gonna click Control T there to bring up my terminal. So that's my terminal right there. Okay, that's good. So we are currently logged into the instance. So now I'm going to yeah. So now I'm gonna install Gates and also install Terraform. So I'm gonna say sudo yum install git -y. Okay, so it says installed. We have get installed, and we can check Git. I believe it's let's say git dash version. Let's see, what is it? Git dash version. Okay, so the Git version is 2.40.1. Okay, so we have our Git installed, and now let's go for Terraform. Sudo yum install. So what am I doing? Yum install. Instead of Git, we're gonna say Terraform. Sudo yum install Terraform -y. Last metadata expiration, no match for argument Terraform. Unable to find a match. So this is something that I already tested before. So it seems the problem seems to be that this particular Amazon Linux doesn't have the repository to fetch the Terraform. So first we have to make sure we have that set up. So I'm gonna go ahead. So you can just go online and search install Terraform on Amazon Linux, and then you can click on the HashiCorp link. So we're gonna go ahead and install Terraform. We're gonna go ahead we're gonna click on where it says Linux, since we're using Linux, and just we have different flavors of Linux. We have Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, well, Fedora. In our case, we're using Amazon Linux, so we're gonna click on this Amazon Linux, and so we're just gonna run these, copy and paste these 3 commands and run them, and then we'll be good to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna do all 3. I'm gonna go ahead, copy, paste. Looks like we have another $sign at the beginning. Get rid of that. Okay, so we have that, nothing to do. So we already have our YAML, so that's not really needed. Okay, so it's already there. Let's see, go back. And number 2, do the same thing. All right. Let's delete. Adding repo. So it's added this repository, https rpm release HashiCorp.amazon Linux HashiCorp. So it needs this, so let's see if, let's just do a quick search on this. Let's see what we see if we go online and just see what shows up. So it just downloads that repository. So in that case, we're gonna run, once we're gonna run the commands, the next commands we're gonna copy and paste. It's now gonna go ahead and get the Terraform for us. So now it knows where to get it from. Okay, it has a repository where to go and fetch those codes from. So now we're gonna go back and to Terraform and then copy so yeah, Mr. Terraform. Or we can just record the commands. Actually, we already have this. We can just go back. Let's see, which one was it? So yeah, now we can just run the command that we had run previously. And now we should be good to go. So now it's installing Terraform. It says complete. Okay, now we can check Terraform. We can check the version. Clear the screen. Terraform -- version. So we have Terraform v1.18.3. Okay, so we have now we have Git installed. We have Terraform installed. Okay, now we can go ahead and test the configuration. Okay, so let's see. All right, so we're going to clone a repository. So before I do that, I'm gonna create a I'm gonna create a folder. I want to make I'm gonna call this Terraform. Make the Terraform. I'm gonna press Terraform code. So, and I'm gonna cd into this. Okay. So now we are inside the Terraform code, and we're gonna clone some things inside here. Okay. So we have Git. I'm going to clone a repository now. So this is the repository cloning. I already had it pasted here. So we can just copy it, go back to Visual Studio inside our instance. Okay, let's go ahead, do go click. I'm gonna type a git clone. I'm going to clone this because this has the sample code base we're going to use to test this configuration. All right, so now we're cloning, and now we just wait. Okay. All right. So we were able to see different things. We saw how to create an EC2 instance. What else did we see? We did. We also saw how to create a role, an IAM role. We were able to see in this same tutorial how to connect via the Remote Explorer, which I also made a video on this. But so we also saw that. Now we have this. Okay, so we have now we have this setup here. We can rename this. Let's say this one is kind of a long name. Since I can choose to rename this folder to a shorter name, I can do move. So I can do all that thing and then call it something else. I'm just gonna call it Terraform test, Terraform dash test, and something like this. So it's just so it's short. So now I've renamed this to that Terraform test. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and cd into this. So now we're inside this repository. Let me just see something. Okay. All right, so these are everything we have. These are our permissions and everything. All right, so I have a video on permissions as well that you can check out if you don't know how to read that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna use go into the demo bleed. We're gonna go into this folder dash. Okay. Okay, so these are our files. Now let me open it in an editor. I want to be able to see this. So let's go to Explorer, click on open folder. Where are we? Terraform code. I'm gonna click on OK. So now this is where the beauty of using Remote Explorer comes in. So we don't have to use Vim or Nano. We're gonna use Visual Studio Code to edit any files that we want to edit. Yes, I trust the author. Okay, I'm gonna do Control tilde. So this is where we currently are. Terraform tests. Okay. So these are all everything that we have. So I'm gonna go ahead cd into this and cd into demo dash it's okay. Let's see. Demo blitz. So I want to so we click on main. So this is the main code. This is the VPC. So I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna rename this. I'm gonna call this VPC Terraform environment. Oh, if I can only spell. I'm gonna call this Terraform environment. Tag. I'm just gonna copy the same thing here as well. So I'm gonna call the VPC Terraform environment. The starter block is set up to 10.0.0.0.16. I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna give it 10.2.0.0.16. tenancy, I'm gonna just leave a default. Okay, that will be that. Then I'm gonna save it. Okay, so we have this. Let's see. Let's try to test this. Let's do I'm gonna do Terraform init. Terraform init. So this one installs all the backend files that it needs. So to set up the environment. Yeah, so this is the item we are testing. Okay. All right, so it says Terraform has been successfully initialized. That's good. That's what we want. And we're gonna try Terraform. Terraform FMT for formats. Okay, so it looks like it reformatted this file, which is provided.tf, which is this. That's what we have in there. Click on it, and we'll see that we have some providers. We have Terraform, AWS, Kubernetes, Azure, and we have this block also set up. And now let's go ahead and do Terraform plan. And now this is going to give us the, it's going to show us the infrastructure that will be implemented if we were to do Terraform apply. Okay. Okay, so we have an error. It says planning failed. Terraform encountered an error while generating this plan. Failed to get share config filed default DD default with provider registry. It says on provider.tf. So in this file, line 27, we provided AWS. So line 27 is over here. So it's referencing this, so something about this block. And it says failed to get share config profile. Yeah, so here so this is trying to get a share configuration files, and it's trying to go here at the .aws config, and it's looking for a profile named the default, right? If you look at where did I click? Let's see. Okay, all right, let me get rid of this. Okay, so if you look at, what was I reading? Yeah, so this line failed to get a shared config profile DD default. So it's looking for this, but it can't find it, right? And the reason is we set up this particular environment using IAM-RAW. So it's trying to find this, but it's not finding it. So we have to, essentially, we just have to delete this, get rid of this so it doesn't look for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete all that mess. Okay, so I got rid of all that inside the bracket. And let's go ahead and we run Terraform plan. Let's see if that resolves the problem. Okay, looks like that's fine now. It created the state file. Okay, so we have plan. It says we want to add, 0 to change. Okay, and this shows you the thing that it's going to create. We have a AWS VPC Terraform environment, so it's going to create this. And then the starter block will be 10.0.0.0, 10.2.0.0/16. Okay. And some of the other things we did not specify, so they will be set up afterwards. Name, so that's going to be what will be applied. So if now we go ahead and do Terraform, just before we do apply, let's just go back to our AWS environments and see what everything looks like. So if you go to our VPC service, let's see, I don't have, okay, here we go. So we click on VPC. Let's just make sure we don't have anything here at the moment. So we are in North Virginia. As you can check on, we can also see if you go to the main, if you go to the main file, we see AWS visitor from environment, we see all these things. And our provider, we should see it says US is one. This is not the one. So go to the top. Let's see. Got provider, AWS, so Corp. Okay. Right. Okay. Actually, it knows by the since we're using the IAM role, so the IAM role is from that region. Okay. It knows based on the role that we set up where it's going to deploy everything. So if you go back, VPC, you can click on VPC, and we see we currently only have one VPC available. You can reload to just make sure nothing else is here. Okay, so we have a single VPC. Okay, so now let's apply. Let me move this out of the way. We'll see with Terraform apply. Okay. Incorrect. Let's check our spelling. Terraform apply. So now we're applying the plan that we are looking at. Okay. Okay, so it says, do you want to perform these actions? Terraform will perform the actions described above. Only yes will be accepted to approve. Okay. And the action, of course, is all these things. So we're gonna say yes. Now it says AWS VPC creating, so it's now creating our VPC. So it says apply complete resources, 1 added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. So we can come in, reload, and see if we now have a VPC created. So now we see we have a VPC called Terraform environment, which is the one we just created. So now we know, okay, everything has worked. Our test is successful. And I'm gonna go ahead now, and since we only have one thing created, I'm just gonna delete this with a single command. I'm just gonna go ahead, Terraform, destroy. Okay, so I only have one thing, so I'm just going to Terraform destroy because that's the only thing I created. Otherwise, it would be best to specify exactly where you are trying to destroy the specific resource you are destroying. In my case, I just have one, so I just say yes to confirm. Now it says destroy complete resources. One destroyed. I can go back now to my console, reload. And now we can see that it is gone. Okay. All right. So that completes our demonstration. We're able to see how to set up a Terraform credential for AWS, specifically instance profile. Okay. So we were able to see how this sets up our environment, instance as an environment to develop our infrastructure as code to be able to deploy our infrastructure to our AWS account. And we did a test and that was successful. And we're also able to see throughout this process how to connect to our instance using Remote Explorer. We saw how to create an EC2. We saw how to create an IAM role in the same time. So we were able to cover a number of things in the same tutorial, which is also good. So that completes our tutorial for this video, and hopefully you were able to get something from this, and see you in the next one. Peace.